We have the return of Radiant Typhoon. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that next play button so you guys don't miss out more. I love when we get the chance to see what's going on with next play, because now Terminal World is fully legal. So now we can actually see, how are the Terminal World themes holding up against the rest of the meta, or is there just some little lopsided walk away here? And, maybe they're not necessarily doing that great, but judging by this, Radiant Typhoon was one of your largest decks in attendance for this event, which is pretty impressive to say the least. Crocia and Friends has definitely been very, very strong, and the deck did make it into Top Cut, so we will have a list to look at here in a little bit. We did have 4 Draco Tail challengers. Interesting to see Draco Tail still doing very, very well here with these limitations. We also have dear old Yummy bringing up the rear here. Yummy's still one of those decks. They have the semi-limit on the what's it called, I believe, which does kind of hurt the deck a little bit. We also had 2 Constellar decks, which unfortunately neither one of these made it beyond the early rounds. But I think it is kind of interesting to see that players were even choosing to look at that deck as a challenger. We also had 2 Elven Notes list. Elven Notes still continues to impress me with what the deck can do. I also see we have 2 Vanquish Soul challengers entering into the arena. We also had 2 Exosister. Well, my oh my. Even with that new support, this deck is still rambling on here as one of the better decks. We only had 1 Mitsurugi challenger for this event. Whoever you are, I am proud of you. You're still representing the craziness of that deck. We also had 1 Fallen of Albaz. We also had 1 of the Dark Lord decks, which I do have that list for you guys. I'm not really sure what this next one is. We also have Valkyrion, looks like White Forest. We did have a Shadal player in attendance, which unfortunately Dolls didn't really make the cut, which is fine. We also had Tier Elements. We had a Naturia Duelist. That one's a little bit weird to me, but we also had a Rescue Ace, looks like Cyber Dragon, and we also had a Malice challenger stepping into the light here to try to challenge the meta. But overall, this is a fantastic representation. Now we shift into your top cut here. Now this is where things get kind of interesting. Your top 7, I always love that they do these weird numbers, but we had 2 Draco Tail. Your conversion rate on Draco Tail was about half of the field made it in, but not a single Yummy play, not a one, managed to overcome the boundary this week, which, a little bit interesting to see there. We do also see the only Mitsurugi player, the only one, managed to cross over here and make their way into Top Cut. Like, shucky darn, man, I guess. It's pretty impressive. We also do have our 1 branded duelist making Top Cut as well. We also do have only 1 Radiant Typhoon list making their way into Top Cut. I find this a little bit interesting. You had so many Radiant Typhoon challengers in the beginning of this event, but only 1 converted over with the numbers, which is kind of sad. But when you get to see the list, you'll exactly understand why this deck was a monster. And we also have our Elven Notes challenger doing wonderfully. I feel like every week in Next Play, you have at least 1 Elven Notes duelist coming up with something very innovative and actually pushing it into a very interesting meta place, which is kind of cool. Now, let's pass on over to those deck lists. Winning our event is the 1 version of this deck that we can't actually play, which is kind of sad because they do have the Borreload Savage Dragon, which just turns this deck into some craziness. Now remember, Ketu is limited to 1 in the OCG. They kind of have to supplement and try to do some little extra things with this, but the new branded monster is just fine. You also notice there's no brand fusion in here. You don't need it. Being able just to supplement and go into the Synchro line off of the Albaz into the Ecclesia is pretty good. Also, we do have the new Sword Soul Synchro present in here. That new Sword Soul Synchro synchro helps out every other deck besides Sword. So I know a lot of people weren't too happy to see that, but I don't think it really matters. Also down here in the side deck, see we have the extra trap being sided if we need it. We have the double Dragon's Mind as well. Out of sight, out of mind, as we're punishing the opponent for this. But the Magister stuff is definitely the hard carry for this list. And I think it's definitely, it shows the differences between our variants and the OCG variations of, you know, one band card doing its job. Oh, wow. This is the legendary Radiant Typhoon deck that has just kind of gone beyond expectations this week. I will tell you, having the new support for this, I think really helped out a lot. The new Link 2 is fantastic. Forbidden Crown basically locks your monster in play and basically protects it from getting bonked off the field. I mean, Crocea also can already do that. We're also only playing 2 copies of MST within the deck. I think that's fine. You do not want to handle, you know, too many of those, because I feel like you're just running into dead bricks at that point. You got to keep the deck as low to the ground and as consistent as possible. And of course, I think the real reason why this deck does well, because we have access to the Harpy's Featherstorm. You know, getting that turn skip card against your opponent, while it might not look like it does a lot, it does enough that you're just like, oh, hey, you know, what are you going to do about it? And if that fails, I mean, you got the Crown passively to generate advantage for you. It's kind of good, people. Something to look at. We have another Draco Tail challenger, pulling it in to 3rd place. Now, this list is a little bit different than what you saw with the 1st place list. This list actually plays the branded fusion, which I think is fine. There's nothing wrong with actually doing the branded fusion with the Albaz, because it's what the current TCG builds are doing. You know, we're just like, oh, hey, we can do this. The only difference is they've got extra starting power through the branded in white, or the Fallen of White, to be able to go down those path lines. I do see we are playing 2 orange, 1 green for the names. This build's a little bit spicy too, because it's playing 2 Ghost Spell, 1 Meows, and 1 Perulia as well. Alright, side deck, we do have the double Lava Golem. We have triple Dragon's Mind down on the side deck. We are side decking Sting. I will say that a lot of these lists in the OCG, they don't really look like they need Sting. Sting's just kind of one of those cards. It's like, well, you know, if it does come up, it's not gonna break the bank. You know, it's a good little assist helper card to help you do your thing. So kind of an interesting little takeaway on that note. Our next list here is our actual branded challenger. You know, it's crazy to me that even with Expulsion and even with the Gimmick Puppet lock, this deck is just not doing better. And, you know, it's crazy because you just got the new Albaz on top of all of this to try to make this deck way more consistent than it actually is, but it just falls to the wayside slightly for its power. I do see we are playing the 1 Fallen and Virtuous in the deck. We're not really, I guess, trying to go too crazy with multiple of those, even though I do feel like it's good. Triple Brand High Spirit's going to be your best starter for this. We're going with the 2 droplet on 45. I guess isn't bad. I mean, if you do draw the Gimmick Puppet, you're just like, yeet it on out of here. It does its job. 2 Blazing Cartesia I also think is fine. We're also side decking a Heavy Storm. That's a little bit different than what I'm used to seeing. Most of the time I see Heavy Storm anymore, it's like not at all, or it's incredibly rare to see that. So that's actually kind of a nice little change of pace. And then we have your Dark Lord list. Of course, we are playing the Gem Knight package in here. This is something we've been seeing a lot with this deck because, you know, you are crossing over with Neprim being a fairy, which just gives you so much more access than I think players are really expecting to see. I will talk more about the inclusion of this package in another video because, honestly, this has been one of the most interesting evolutions just to kind of track in the OCG, where we've even seen like Osteonato variants coming up for this, but it is really cool just to see how, you know, the generic fairy stuff is able to pull itself together with the Vingolf's Blessing, and, you know, for the rest of the deck's package, it's kind of interesting. It really is. So what do you guys think about these very, very creative decks this week? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.